Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official college football week number 11 top 10 best bets, where I go through my 10 favorite bets along with a few bonus picks here as we get really late into the season, week number 11. I am stalling a little bit trying to catch my breath. I just ran up some stairs. All right, guys, let's get into it. Starting with number 10, it is Tulane. They're hosting Tulsa, and here's the story with Tulane. I've been all over Tulane football the past 3 weeks, picking against them and being rewarded. Tulane last 3 weeks, 0-3 against the spread. We understand that's not going to continue. That's why I'm in on Tulane actually winning this game by 30 points, covering the 22.5 point spread. I think they finally cover one. And Tulane still is fighting to try and get to a New Year's Six Bowl, but I think they really have no chance. I'm guessing, Tulane got their shot last year. Let's give another Group of 5 team a chance to shine in a New Year's Six game. Either way, I think Tulane wins that game by 30. Moving on to number 9, it is Texas traveling to TCU, and that should say TCU plus the 10. Obviously, TCU is not 10-point favorites, but guys, I do like TCU in this matchup plus 10, possibly to win this game outright. They're not going to give us any updates on Quinn Ewers. It'll probably be another one of those game time decision type things. Either way, whether he plays or he doesn't, TCU, this is a team that's very under the radar right now. This is an upset alert for sure, especially the way Texas has been playing. Last week, they almost lost to Kansas State. I mean, it got to the point where that fourth down, they get a touchdown, that game's over, Kansas State wins. So I will take TCU. I understand their record is not good, but analytically, they're a lot better than that. They do have significant upside, especially at home. Texas needs to be careful. Maybe TCU doesn't win this game, but even if they don't win, I like the value plus the 10. Again, TCU, they're not 10-point favorites. That's not right. They're plus 10. Moving on to number 8, it is LSU at home against Florida. LSU needs these wins badly. I like the over in this game, and I do like LSU to cover that 15.5 point spread. I'm guessing Jaden Daniels will be playing in this one, considering the Heisman implications, LSU's defense. We understand they're not good, but how about this Florida team losing to 2-6 Arkansas, not looking too hot for Billy Napier? I will take LSU to cover. Big spread, 15.5. Again, I like the over, but this is a game where LSU, they have to win out. They have to finish 9-3, and I just don't think the spread is big enough. I understand why it's only 15.5, because Florida, they do have a winning record. They have won some games, I get it, but after watching them last week, this is kind of a reaction to that, and we understand LSU losing to Alabama. It's a tough loss, but it's also a tough spot on the road in Tuscaloosa. This is a lot easier of a game. We will take them big over Florida. Moving on to number 7, it is Ole Miss at Georgia. So a lot of people here really think Ole Miss has a chance in this one. I do as well, based on the situation surrounding Florida, Brock Bowers still being out. You do have Ole Miss coming into this game with just one loss. Could you imagine if Ole Miss actually pulls it off and wins this game? That would really flip the script in the world of college football. I don't have them doing that. I've got it a 3-point loss, but I love the value plus the 11.5. When you look at this Ole Miss offense compared to Georgia, there's just more explosiveness with Ole Miss. Carson Beck, he's had a nice year, kind of under the radar, developing quarterback, but still, I look at Jackson Dart, I look at their running back, I look at their receivers, Lane Kiffin, the offense. This is a huge game for them, and imagine if they win this, they try and argue that they should make the playoff if they finish the season with one loss, not even making the SEC championship. They would have a huge win here against Georgia. Again, I don't think they get it. Either way, they should be able to cover the 11.5 point spread. Moving on to number 6, it is Miami traveling to FSU. And man, I have had personal phone calls with a lot of FSU fans, and they have admitted to me they're having nightmares. They're freaking out. They are scared of Mario Cristobal. They're scared of Tyler Van Dyke, and honestly, I don't blame them. I mean, Miami is a very dangerous team. This is what Miami always does. They're terrible one week, they're great the next. They're terrible one week, they're great the next. They're going to be really good this week. I like Miami plus the 15, but I also love the over 50. This is a shootout. Maybe Jordan Travis enters the Heisman race with a great performance here. He's right on the cusp of it, but maybe he starts really getting hype. FSU wins this game, but it is close, and we love the great value in the over 50. The reason the over-under in this game is so low is because Miami's offense last week was terrible. Also, Florida State only scored 24 points. You know what that tells me? That tells me these are two offenses that are due for an absolute explosion. I'm expecting it, and I'm expecting a great game there in the state of Florida. Moving on to number 5, it is Arizona State traveling to UCLA. This is just kind of low-hanging fruit, kind of a random, irrelevant game happening at 9 o'clock. UCLA this year, they suffered a bad loss last week, 91% chance to win. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. Arizona State is horrible. I mean, Arizona State just let up a 50-burger to that terrible Utah offense. I will take UCLA huge in this one, 37-14. I do not think 17 points is nearly enough. I would probably take them minus 20, minus 21. Arizona State's basically phoned it in this year in terms of that. Moving on to number 4, it is Utah traveling to Washington. I mean, what are we going to do with this Utah football team? I'm taking Washington minus the 9.5. Yes, I have had my troubles. You know, the thing with Utah, it's like you either die a hero or you live long enough to see Utah football win the national championship. I swear. I mean, Utah, this is the bowl game we need. Utah against Iowa. But there's been something with Utah football. It's annoying. It's disgusting. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how they drop a 50 burger. Guys, this is a mismatch. Washington, I understand their analytics are not good. They cannot afford to lose a game like this. They will not lose this game. You do have Michael Penix Jr. still deep into the Heisman race. He's top 2, top 3 in terms of the odds. They win this game easily. They're at home. It's just such a crazy talent disparity in terms of the offenses. I will take Washington big in this one. I do respect Utah's defense. I don't think Washington's going to score 40 or 50, but they will cover the 9.5 in terms of that. Moving on to number 3, it is Missouri hosting Tennessee. Another big SEC game, ranked versus ranked. Missouri, are they going to let things spiral on them after the loss last week at Georgia? They come home, raucous environment, 3:30 game. I'm guessing this would be the 3:30 on CBS game. And I like Missouri. I like their passing offense more than Tennessee. They've just got more explosiveness, and they're at home, so they get that huge home field advantage, higher scoring game. They end up winning 34-31. I just don't trust Tennessee through the air this year to hang with Missouri, but it should be a really good high scoring game there. Moving on to number 2, it is Alabama traveling to Kentucky. I like the under in this game, and I am placating a little bit to the fact that this is a noon start time, but to me, Alabama is going to be ground heavy on the road against a feisty Kentucky team who can play a little, who's going to be energized early in this game because of the crowd. I see this being a closer game, maybe 10-7 at half, but I do like Bama with their defense to pull away in the second half, and we get a pretty clean under 48.5. I think this over-under should be around 45. I can understand it being 48.5 because Jalen Milroe and the offensive ability of Alabama, but when you go on the road against a tougher defense, I mean, at home against LSU, that is literally the best case scenario because of how bad LSU's defense is. When you go on the road, it's a different type of beast, and I think Jalen Milroe, that Alabama offense, is going to struggle a lot more. They still will win, though, 28-13, but this will be a defensive-focused game for Alabama. And then moving on to number 1, it is West Virginia traveling to Oklahoma. Let's not overthink this one. This line is down to 12.5 because we saw West Virginia pitch a shutout. They won like 37-0 against BYU, but let's remember, BYU was starting their backup quarterback. Oklahoma loses. It's a tough loss on the road, rivalry game. They fought hard. I think Oklahoma gets back on track. Let's not overreact. Let's calm down. 41-21. They get an easy cover of the 12.5 points there. And then moving on to my bonus picks here, we do have Iowa versus Rutgers. Of course, we always have to take the Iowa under. It basically is free money. I mean, this over-under could be 23, and we're still probably taking the under. By the way, this game is at Iowa, so yeah, I mean, you're talking about like a 13-10 type game. Rutgers' offense is terrible. Iowa's offense obviously is terrible. It is a small number. If you want to bet the over, it's just hard to root for the over for an Iowa game. Moving on to number 2, Western Kentucky minus the 5.5 versus New Mexico State. So New Mexico State, really fun team this year, 7-3. But I think Western Kentucky just has way more overall talent. We're getting them minus 5.5 at home I will take the value in that. Moving on, you do have Duke at North Carolina. How about the under 50.5? Duke is a team, they want to play a low-scoring game. Riley Leonard, the injury, their season's kind of been ruined. North Carolina, on the other hand, they do have some offensive firepower, but against a solid Duke defense, I don't know. I'll take the under 50.5, probably a lower scoring game there. And then number 4, it is Fresno State -1 at San Jose State. I'm trusting them. I'm putting my reputation on the line here. If Fresno State wins out, do they actually make a New Year's Six Bowl? It's going to be very hard for them to win out considering they're only 1-point favorites over a San Jose State team who's actually had a pretty good year. Fresno State possibly making a New Year's Six Bowl. It's going to be tough. They're going to have to win out. We will see. Either way, that is going to do it for my top 10 best bets here for college football week number 11. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.